Hey guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button. It's right down below. It only takes you a second, and it'll incentivize me to make you more videos. Speaking of incentives, today we're going to talk about incentives. You want to incentivize the behaviors that you want to replicate. So let's dig into it. So today we're going to talk about incentives and how do we incentivize the behaviors that we want to replicate. Now, there's a million different ways of incentivizing your staff, and I'm a big fan of giving incentives. And I'm not here necessarily to tell you which ones are the best, but I've done dozens of different kinds of incentives in my career. Some have worked, and some have not worked, not so much. So I'm here to give you a couple of principles and perhaps a couple of ideas on what incentives you might want to use for your office and your staff. All right, so let's dig into it. So now one of the first principles that I always think about is you don't want to have like 20 different incentives or 20 different bonuses, right? You want to have a few, 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that. But you want your incentives to be based around the most important things. The main thing is to keep the main thing, right? That's what Stephen Covey used to say. So you want your incentives to be based around what are the most important things that will make your office successful. And if you're going to ask me my opinion, I'm going to tell you that the main thing is field hygiene. As goes field hygiene, so goes everything else. So I'm going to create a field hygiene bonus, and I'm going to make an incentive based off of that. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it a daily field hygiene bonus. So how do we do it? So we're going to have a daily field hygiene goal. So how do we come up with that goal? So first, you just look back 6 months. 6 months ago, how many field hygiene did you have, right? And let's assume that 98% of them got pre-appointed into this month. And then you're going to add your 12-month average of new patients, because you got new patients coming in too. You got to add them in there as well, right? And then you just simply divide that by the number of working days in the month, and that's your daily field hygiene average. So let's do a quick example. So let's say 6 months ago you had 400 field hygiene, right? And let's assume that 98% of them were pre-appointed. That means you should have 392 of those patients on the books, right? And then let's say we average 50 new patients per month. You're going to add those to it. So your field hygiene goal for the month should be 442 for the month, right? And let's just divide it by 26 working days. Let's say you're open 6 days a week, not 7, but let's say you're open 6 days a week, right? So that equals 17 field hygiene per day, and that's your daily field hygiene goal. And so then what we would do is anybody responsible for keeping that hygiene filled, whether it be a hygiene coordinator or your hygienist themselves, or maybe a hygiene assistant, or maybe the front desk, anybody associated with helping you reach these daily field hygiene goals, they're going to get a daily bonus. And you might make it $10 or $15 or $20 a day, right? I just did $10 a day. But over 26 working days, that could be an extra $260 per person per month, right? And that can add up over time for the staff, and they love these things. I mean, that's almost a car payment, or maybe half a car payment. In any case, so yeah, have a daily field hygiene goal bonus. It could be $10 per day, $20 per day, whatever you like it to be, and then give it to the people that are responsible for keeping your hygiene filled. What's the other main thing? The other main thing is collections. We had a collections bonus, right? You pay your bills with collections, right? So we also had a daily collections goal, and this was paid out to everybody. So let's look at that a little bit. So basically what I would do is I would estimate what my monthly costs were going to be. I already knew what my fixed costs were going to be. That's easy. Those are the costs that stay the same every month, your rent, your marketing, your insurance, and all the other little things. Then we come up with our variable costs. So to estimate your variable costs, let's go back to the previous example. If you have 442 filled hygiene, or you're estimating to have that, and let's say you average collections of about $500 per filled hygiene, that means you're going to collect, somewhere around, or you expect to collect somewhere around $220,000. And If your variable costs are 35% of your top line revenue, then your variable costs, you can pretty much estimate them, what they're going to be. There it is. We'll talk about evening and weekend bonuses on our next video, so don't go away yet. We just talked about our daily field hygiene bonus. We can add that up for anybody involved in that. And our daily collections bonus, which is what we're going to talk about now, we can account for that as well. I'm assuming a 15-person office and everybody's getting $10 per day, and I'm assuming 26 working days in the month. I'm also going to assume a 15% profit. So we want to have some profit in there as well. And then we add all of that up. And in order for us to kind of even break even, we need to do $200,000, right? Or break even with profit, I guess. So in which case, if we take this $200,000 and divide it by 26 working days, that's right around $7,700 a day. So the office has to collect $7,700 a day in order for us to reach this goal. And all I do is every day that we reach that goal, I pay everybody $10, right? So, but if you look, all of these bonuses, they're all accounted for already. Everything that I'm paying my staff in bonuses is already accounted for, and I'm assuming that we do it every single day, right? So, probably not going to get it every single day. Some days you're going to have more, some days you're going to have a little bit less. But I'm assuming when I'm doing this calculations that we're going to meet it every single day. So it doesn't matter if I pay my staff this bonus. I've already accounted for it in this. So every time that we collect more than $7,700 a day, I pay everybody, every full-time employee, a $10 a day bonus. And again, that could be another $260 per employee per month. And I pay them whether they've worked that day or not. Everybody's part of a team. We're all part of a team. We all succeed when the office succeeds. So some other incentives you might want, paying your doctors on a per hygiene check bonus, specifically in prime time. I tell my clients, you should go hygiene heavy in prime time, evenings and weekends. But I'm an associate dentist. I'm a dentist. I know that we dentists, we don't want to do hygiene checks on weekends. We don't want to do hygiene checks in the evenings. We want to do dentistry. But, as a business owner, that those patients that come in evenings and weekends, those are the ones that spend 2 to 3 times as much. So those hygiene checks, you want to maximize those. And so in order to get your doctors to want to do those hygiene checks, maybe you need to give them a little incentive. Maybe you give them a little bonus. Slip them an extra $50 for every hygiene check that they do on evenings and weekends, and incentivize that behavior so that when Saturdays roll around, the doctors don't want to do dentistry, they want to do hygiene checks. Another thing for doctors might be a tiered pay schedule. This is just an example. I'm not saying you should do this, but I know as a business owner, it's really hard to make any profit if you're paying your doctors 30% or more, and they're not even collecting $40,000 a month. It's really hard to be profitable. You can lose money real quickly that way. So maybe you only pay the doctors 25% up until the first 40K. But if they hit that, then we'll pay them 30%. And you can pay them 30% on the whole amount, but just giving them an incentive to get up to 40K, 45K, something like that. Once they start getting up to higher amounts, it becomes a little bit more profitable for the office. So maybe pay them a higher percentage as they get higher. I found that paying doctors 35%, and these are for full-time doctors, obviously. I find paying doctors 35% on collections above 100K, and this is just for the collections above 100K, really made them really strive to get there. We did that a lot, and doctors really wanted to get past that 100K mark so that they could get that extra percentage. So we would pay them, the prorated amount up until that, and then over 100K, they'd get 35K. So consider a tiered pay schedule, because lots of times doctors just kind of get comfortable with whatever zone that they're in, and there's no real incentive for them to try to push themselves to get a little bit better, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit smarter with how they're doing their scheduling, right? So maybe a tiered pay schedule. And lastly, but certainly not least, this is one that I actually did quite a bit, was a per hygiene scene bonus for our hygienists. Give your hygienists a bonus for every patient that they see, especially in prime time. I did this, gave my hygienists an extra $10 for every patient that they saw. And it could be 10, it could be 20, it could be 30, it could be 50. You cannot overpay a hygienist to see patients, especially in prime time. You can overpay a hygienist to sit around and do nothing, absolutely. And you can overpay a hygienist, to just kind of come in and show up and, eat lunch in the break room or be on the Facebook or whatever. But you can't overpay a hygienist for every patient that they see, because we know that on average, every patient that comes in, you're going to make is going to be $500 in collections. So I would always give my hygienist a per hygiene scene bonus of around $10 per patient, and this is in addition to their pay. And that incentivizes them to keep their schedule full, especially in prime time. Now, in the next video, like I said, we're going to talk about pay structures, because you don't want to be overpaying your hygienist to sit around and do nothing. Again, you want to incentivize the behaviors that you want to see. And the behavior you want to see is you want your hygienist seeing the patients, right? So that's what the per hygiene scene bonus is all about. So like I said, in the next video, we're going to get into pay structures and, how should you pay your staff, and what should that look like? But you're going to have to wait one more video for that one. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Dr. Bickling. Here's my contact information, and I'll see you on the next one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos and have negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.